If I were to record a video like this, does it sound good? We'll see. My name is Andrew. You might know me as Caydorcat, you might know me as Mouse, you might know me as Kade. I am trans and indecisive, so I've had a lot of names. There's more than that. I'm not gonna list them all because that's embarrassing. You probably know me, maybe, from this video that got 88,000 views in 2022, I think. I unlisted it because this looks like shit. Look at it. I've always loved art and animation. My Little Pony is the reason I started drawing. Jade Animations got me into animation. Shows like Steven Universe, Ed's World, and Has Been Hotel are the reason I'm so dead set on making a cartoon now. Yes, I've been online a very long time. Yes, I am very annoying to be friends with. Now, I'm in college. I'm broke. I'm busy. I'm just one guy. I don't exactly have time to gather money and voice actors, storyboard, and then animate an entire pilot. Especially because what I use to animate right now is Ibis Paint and VideoStar. Ibis Paint? No, that sounds stupid. But what I do have time for is a video essay. Now, what would you do if you were faced with an impossible enemy? A situation where no matter what you do, you know it's almost impossible to tear down the system that's eventually going to kill you and everyone you love. Well, that's the question that these 6 main characters have to answer, and not a single one of them is handling it very well. Part 1! Now, before we really get into the meat of things, I need to explain what the Divine Rebellion is and what it's for. For some unknown reason, the gods of this universe have begun to destroy the planets they created. They tend to specifically go for the most magical ones, like the planet that the leader of the rebellion, Lewis, belonged to. I'll get more into him once I get to the character section of this video. A series of coincidental events, including the destruction of Lewis's planet, brought the 3 founding members together, this being Chip, Lewis, and Casey. 20 years before the actual show begins, the Divine Rebellion is founded, and the 3 characters create a base on a barren planet called Desira. Over time, after a deal from the Desirian government, they create intricate systems to detect when planets are being destroyed by what they nickname creation magic. A catch-all term for any magic from gods, really. And using this system, they're able to save people from their planet's destruction and bring them to the rebellion. The rebel base is hidden from Desirian society, underground, and fenced off in the middle of a giant desert. But there is a town nearby that the rebels occasionally visit. Along with creation magic, the rebels usually call the gods the creators, and the creators reside on a planet in the center of the universe, simply called the center. In this universe, so there's like space, and then outside of space there's like an infinite nothingness, but there is a limited amount of things that exist, if that makes sense. So it's not the same universe as the one we live in, not even close. There is an Earth in it, but it's not. Some other terms include commoners, anyone who isn't a natural-born creator, and... Is that what I wrote? And maybe more if I come up with them by the time the script is done? Okay, well, I didn't. These terms are a little uncreative, but in my defense, they kind of have to be for how complicated this story can get sometimes. I've really simplified as much as possible so that I could actually get this video essay out, because if I really wanted to talk about how in-depth this story is, I would be going on for hours. The thing is like, each character has their own planet they live on, their own families and friends outside of the rebellion, most of them at least. Sorry, Lewis. So there's a lot going on with each character. There's a lot of world building, there's a lot... I mean, we literally, the timeline goes from the beginning of the universe to now. Technically. Guys, I think I'm autistic. And so does my therapist. And this, I feel like, is a little bit of evidence. My psychiatrist will be hearing about this video, and my therapist. Unlike what most people would expect, the center is not some ethereal heaven-like place. It's industrial, brutalistic, and run-down. The highest-ranking creators known to the rebellion aren't even really the creators, but commoners who are given godlike magic. These characters will be the main villains of... So there's 2 main protagonists, Z and Casey, and we will start off with... Z is your average 2010s bubbly bean-mouthed protagonist with a twist. We'll get there. At the beginning of the show, he's one of the newest members of the rebellion, being saved from a planet called Namari, after it was detected that creation magic destroyed it. He's an artist and inventor, making all of his own clothes, room decor, glasses, rocket boots, you name it. Everything he owns includes a nerdy and artistic flair. He loves making new friends and quickly becomes friends with most of his neighbors in the barracks, except for one. Her name is Callie. a literal cowgirl. We're going to get her into her later. She's one of the last ones I bring up. She can't remember where she came from, and she doesn't understand why Z avoids her like the plague. He also has incredible magic powers, and a lot more secrets outside of just that. It doesn't take very long for the rebels to discover that the magic he has is creation magic, and that he's got almost no control over this magic. His biggest display of this magic is accidentally creating Starcat, who is this little shooting star cat guy. I love him. And he makes him in Season 1. I haven't quite figured out when, or if he will have him at the beginning of the show. We'll see. Starcat is an agent of chaos. He enjoys ripping up Z's carpet and eating his important technology, but Z keeps him around because he loves him anyway, and he's the only person Z feels like he can talk to. The odd thing about Z is that he's clearly hiding a lot from the audience and from his friends around him. He doesn't talk about where he came from, he doesn't talk about Earth, he doesn't talk about nowhere at all to anyone, even though allegedly that's where he's from, although the Rebellion records say that his DNA is linked to Earth. When he first gets to the Rebellion, he is assigned a mission. His first mission is to use a tracking device to find one of the Rebellion members who hasn't worked there in 20 years, because they need him back.
Oh, Casey, my boy, my lover, my husband, my wife, my favorite stupid wet cat that I hate and I love. I wrote that in the script, by the way. I love Casey.
Before I get into, the lore of Casey, I feel like I should explain that I've had Casey since I was 12. Casey is very, very, very dear to me, and he is one of my favorite characters that I've ever created. He's definitely not anywhere near the same as the cutesy little cat girl that he used to be when I first created him. He is now a sad, depressed, 38-year-old man with a wife and children. A lot can happen in 6 years, I guess. Casey is our second main protagonist. Paralleling Z's 2010s bean mouth look, Casey is inspired by rigid 2000s cartoons like Tough Puppy and Camp Lazlo. They're also inverts of each other. Casey also comes with godlike magical powers, but his source is known. Before the rebellion was even started, he was possessed by an ancient creator. Her name is Bailey, a play on the word bailiff. She is the goddess of justice. There is no known way to reverse the possession, and she has been stuck in his head even after he left the rebellion. In the beginning days of the rebellion, Casey brought along his childhood best friend, Cecilia, but she convinced them to go back to a normal life after his powers caused a horrific accident, leaving Cecilia severely deformed. He eventually does leave after she convinces him, and they get married and have a family together. And for the past 20 years, Casey's been living on a planet called Cratera. It's Earth but furries, but I call them critters in the show because I'm not going to call them fucking furries in the TV show. Casey lives with his now wife Cecilia and daughter Elise. He's emotionally closed off, cold, only ever shows anger if he shows anything at all. Bailey tormented him every night with nightmares about the death of the universe. But he refused to go back because even bringing the idea up with Cecilia would cause a huge fight. Her argument is that none of this is their responsibility, that they don't have it. No matter what happens, Casey doesn't have to be a part of this war. Casey eventually just stopped arguing and stopped asking. Safe to say their marriage isn't the happiest. Casey provides financially, but is absent in every other aspect, and Cecilia runs the house, but doesn't really think about Casey's input at all.
I was gonna do outfits for the characters and I fucking forgot. Didn't I? Fuck.
That's fine. After Z is tasked with finding Casey, he shows up on his doorstep. In some of my older concept art, he's disguised as a critter. He's a mouse. But as of 2025, I don't know how canon that is. But I really like the idea of all of the characters having multiple disguises for other planets that they're going to. Casey initially sends him on his way, but later in the same day, Casey can't take Bailey's constant demands anymore and decides to head to the rebel base at night, hiding it from his family. Casey at home might be an absent husband, but while in the rebellion, he is a loud, ruthless general. He gets things done, and he makes sure everyone stays in line. The rebellion over time has gained multiple different sectors full of people, and Casey works for Sector A. He isn't interested in making friends or being friendly. He doesn't even want to be there, really. If he felt like he had a choice, he wouldn't be there. It was the only way to stop having incessant nightmares every single night. For some odd reason, Z is very attached to Casey, and he is determined to be this man's friend. When they're working together, they kind of become each other's official buddy, and Lewis assigns them most missions together. I think both of them have a lot to learn from each other. Now that I've mentioned Lewis, though, Lewis is the face and leader of the rebellion. He's bright, charismatic, strong, and always has a smile on his face. His magic abilities are what keep the rebels' base lights on. He keeps the rebels' spirits up, and seemingly is the only one in the entire rebellion who truly believes that they can win. His planet, Mysteria, was destroyed by the creators. He was originally a prince of a utopian society of creatures called Lightbringers, horned human and elf-like creatures who all had sorts of magic. Lewis's family specifically had energy magic, being able to power anything electric with magic spells. This society was incredibly advanced. They'd achieved their full potential, basically. There was peace, allyship, nobody went hungry. These guys were winning, okay? They were like the coolest guys around, the coolest planet. And this is where Lewis got his charisma and leadership skills from. He'd already lived in the perfect society, and while the rebellion is nowhere near as peaceful or perfect, he does his best to run things the same way he would have at home if he had ever become king. Lewis lost his entire family in the destruction of his planet, except for his brother Damien. While begging the creators for their lives, Damien pleaded that he could be helpful to them, and the creators took him up on that, bringing both brothers to the center. Lewis ran away, Damien stayed, and even became one of the center's high council members. Lewis has not seen his brother since he ran away and has no idea what kind of person he is now. Lewis is also desperately and unfortunately in love with Casey. The two had a small fling during the early rebel days. I forgot to mention, Casey and Lewis were like 17, 18 when the rebellion started, and Casey never even said goodbye. He left a note. And now that he's back, he won't acknowledge anything that ever happened. The stress of running a rebellion against a force they can't win against, his only love basically ignoring him, and the crushing loneliness of everything going on. He's really struggling to keep it together. But he does. The biggest help is his friend. His best friend. Chip. Chip is one of my favorite characters that I have ever made. Chip is the brains of the operation. She oversees the engineering sector, which mostly consists of the Dzirian government members, who aren't rebels themselves and don't fully know what's going on, they just work there, basically. Chip invented the system that detects creation magic. She also invented the microbots, small robots that do general maintenance and cleaning around the rebel base. She automates most of her life, even getting her teeth brushed by a microbot every morning. She even replaced her right hand with a robotic one just because she knew how to do it. She's incredibly smart, but on occasion has an issue with ignoring ethics. Chip and Lewis more or less balance each other out. Lewis is the ethical side, Chip is the brains. But nobody really knows her. She doesn't even have a record in the system, and nobody can find another species with her skin and hair like that. Some think she's human, others think she's something else entirely. She's surface level friendly to the other rebels, but she gives people the creeps because of her smile. She never stops smiling. One of the biggest rumors about her is that she's somehow very connected to the center, because when she gives speeches to the rebels, because Lewis and Chip, they're the leaders, they sit and give speeches sometimes, she'll talk about taking them down, destroying them, with an uncharacteristic spite that she doesn't talk about anything else with. But nobody knows. Lewis is her best friend, Z looks up to her, Casey respects her, and her only other friend in the rebellion is Namari is a Dzirian government worker who was assigned to the rebellion. Out of all of her Dzirian coworkers, she is the highest ranked. She's an expert hacker and programmer. She works with Chip to create all of the rebellion software, like the Rebels Watch, the identity records, things like that. The Dzirians are all based on the classic depiction of aliens, and Desiria itself is kind of based on Mars. But I thought that it being on Mars was kind of dumb. I didn't want it to be Mars, so I didn't make it Mars. I made it Desiria. Get it? Desert? I'm so creative. They have bigger brain capacity than a human could, which is why she is so helpful to the rebellion. She also has a huge crush on Chip and is always there to assist her. Chip either doesn't care or can't tell. It is really hard to tell with her. But Namari really loves her coworkers. She hosts parties and get-togethers. She invites them over. She loves people. She loves her coworkers.
Hello, it's me. I forgot to mention that, her happiness comes from being, totally oblivious to it being against, literal God. So she's super happy and cheerful all the time because she has no clue that they probably won't win.
Most of them don't really care for that. Now, she really doesn't have much development yet. She is a very new character. Originally, Chip had created all of the hardware and software, but I kind of just didn't want to give her that much smart. So I'm still figuring out what I want to do with her. I kind of wanted more female characters, so I made her. Oh, dang. My memory is just really bad. I forgot. Callie is a literal cowgirl whose planet Noor was destroyed right before the beginning of the show. During this, she had some kind of injury that made her forget where she was during the destruction, and slowly, she keeps forgetting more and more about herself. She doesn't respond to any of this well, frequently lashing out at her coworkers and isolating herself. Frequently lashing out at her coworkers and other people and just isolating herself from everyone else. She's a victim of her situation in every way. She remembers her family and friends, vaguely remembers Z's face, but nothing about how she got to the rebellion. She craves connection, but the one person she knows, Z, avoids her like the plague. She also seeks the approval of General Casey and becomes one of the strongest. She also becomes. She also seeks the approval of General Casey and becomes one of the strongest magicless soldiers, channeling her anger into her training. She's rude and snippy with other people at her rank, and constantly regrets it, but doesn't know any other way to be. Callie used to be an entirely different character, so there's not a whole lot to her backstory quite yet, because I am scrapping it all and reworking it. Callie used to be based on a mushroom. She was like a Minecraft OC. And she also was not a girl, so trans headcanon that all you want. I don't know. Alright. You are familiar with characters. There's definitely a lot more to them. This was me getting as much like... This is like me using the cliff notes for them all. I could have forgotten something. I definitely forgot stuff. There's always more that I can talk about if people are interested in watching these videos. I'm gonna go into some more detail about other things that are important to Season 1 that aren't characters. So, 1. Rebellion's Traveler's Watch. It's like if an Apple Watch was cool. Invented by Chip and Namari, the Rebel's Watch gives the user the ability to travel to any place on any planet at any time. All that needs to be known is the coordinates on said planet, and commonly used coordinates can be saved onto it. It can also be used to call others with a mini hologram, like Henry Danger and shit. The Creation Magic Detection System. I've touched on this briefly, but I will go over it again. It looks like this, and when there's an emergency, it will cause an alarm to ring throughout the entire base. It's got a whole map of the universe with the center in the middle, and all of the other galaxies and planets outside of it. The barracks. Looks like this. It's where everybody lives. This is the only good background drawing I've ever made in my entire life, by the way. Please appreciate it. The observatory. This is the worst piece of background art that I've made ever. But I literally could not make it any better. I did not have motivation or brain capacity. It's the meeting room for the 6 main characters, basically, because they are the most important and most high-ranking. Not Callie, probably. I mean, for now, it's basically just a meeting room for Z, Casey, Chip, and Lewis. Chip, Z, Casey, and Lewis are the 4 most important characters in Rift. Callie and Namari are definitely up there, but they're not as important. And then, there's everyone else. The observatory is the meeting room for the rebellion. It's a giant observatory, clearly, and the telescope is a part of a big surveillance system. The rebellion symbol looks like this. The first rebellion symbol was actually this, and it was split into 3, had yellow, blue, and red, representing Chip, Lewis, and Casey. But when Casey left, the symbol was eventually changed to the, I feel, very iconic orange and blue that it is today. And why the triangle? Because. Villains! The Council! I briefly touched on the Council before. I'm not going to go into depth here, because that would require a whole other video. There's a lot to these guys. There's just as much to these guys as there is to the 6 main characters, their own planet, their own backstory, all that. So if you want a video of the Council, I would love to provide that. But 1, I would have to develop on them a lot more, and 2, I would need you to tell me that you want it by liking and subscribing. I have never in my entire life asked for people to like and subscribe in a video, I think. It feels really weird, but please, it's very helpful in the algorithm. Commenting, liking the video, comments really help me especially. But if you want a video about the Council, like it, comment, subscribe, share with your friends. Be like, hey, this cool, awesome dude is making this cool, awesome story, and you should look at it. Please do that for me. Please. Rundown of the Council. There's 6 of them, representing different parts of creation. The head of the council is named Azrael. He represents death. He's super scary. Cooper is another character. He's very important. He's the son of Azrael. Possibly has some connection with Z. Woo. And there's a whole other villain that I am not going to discuss here because it's super spoiler territory, and I kind of don't want to ruin the shock for anyone at all. Alright. It's the end of the video. Holy shit. should probably admit that this microphone is not connected to anything. I couldn't find my USB adapter, and I didn't want to record this on my PC. I wanted to record it on my laptop because I wanted this to be in the background. So, you know. Anyway, if you liked this video, please support me. I don't have a Ko-Fi or like a Patreon or anything like that. Just like and subscribe. Comment if you want to see more. Comment if you want a pilot of this show to happen one day, because your engagement is what will get this to become a real thing. Yeah, comments are my favorite because they make me feel happy and nice. Please comment nice things. Please don't comment mean things, or I will be sad and then I'll crash out and then you'll never see me again. I'm not putting that in the video. Holy shit. Share it if you like it. Show your other weird queer friends, because I know what type of people are watching this video. Your walls look like this too, don't they? Yeah. I know it's you. If people are interested, I could set up a Patreon or even a Kickstarter. I've always wanted to start a Kickstarter for Rift. But yeah, I will see you in the next video, I say. This was really fun. I'm gonna do this again.
Dude, what if there are, like, aliens out there?